Today we're going to turn this wreath kit into a beautifully made wreath with accent design ears, and we're going to even show you how to make the bow that goes in it. All right, let's get started. So we took the 2 bolts of mesh and we cut them into 10-inch pieces. Now for this technique, we're just going to do our rolled technique for the 2-color mesh. And all you do is you just take your mesh and you kind of help it roll into tubes. It's already in a tube, but you just want to make sure it's even on both sides. You don't want to do it super tight because then it looks really kind of thin and wispy. We don't want that. We want them to be a little bigger of a roll. And if they're different sizes, don't worry about it. It's how they ended up on the bolt, but you just don't want to make them tighter. And then as always, the part that's the overlap, I make the bottom half so you don't see the seam. So I take 2 of one color and 1 of the other color. And again, I'm just going to help it roll into its little tube. You take the 2 that are the same color, seam down, make an X. Odd color out is going to go right on top to kind of form like a star shape. And then I take them, and where they all meet, I just kind of squish them together. And we're going to start on the back the back of the wreath. We're not going to worry about the top right now. So I opened all my little pines up, and I just laid the mesh going sideways. You don't want it up and down. You want them side so they're going to bump into each other. Otherwise, you're going to end up with these huge gaps, and it doesn't look as good. So you want to keep them sideways. I pull the pine once nice and tight, and a single twist. Now this wreath doesn't have back ribbons in the kit. If you want to add them, go for it. More ribbon, the better. But for this one, we're just going to keep it simple with the front ribbons. So since I'm done with these, I can tuck them down now, or you can go back later. So you're going to take it, and then you're going to kind of pull on the back wreath. You're going to pull your mesh towards the outer part of the wreath. Now you're going to go to the pine that's right next to it, but this time you're going to do 2 of the other color. See how we had 1 in this one? Now I'm going to use 2 of that and 1 of the green. You're going to alternate them back and forth. So they're in their little tubes. I have my X, squish them in the middle, and then you're going to go to the pine that's right next to it. And you want them to touch, but you can kind of lift this one out of the way if it's too in the way. Make your nice tight twist so they don't come out. Pull, and then pull your mesh out. And you can leave the pines, or you can tuck them in. I'm going to leave that one for now. And then that's all you're going to do all the way around the back of the wreath. You're going to take 2 mesh of one color. So we'll call it mesh A. I took 2 pieces. Mesh B, I took 1 piece. And just lay it right on top. Twist, twist, and pull your mesh coming out. Now I'm going to take 2 of mesh B, this round, circle, circle, then mesh A, 1 piece goes on top, right next to it, pull nice and tight, and a twist, and tuck them out. Let's see. The hardest part is remembering which one you did. So it was on mesh A. 2 mesh A and mesh B. And this kit does come with written directions for this technique. So you can have a video or written, however it is you learn, or both. The kits are just here to make it really easy. They're pretty foolproof. You can't mess up. By pulling them out. Just want to keep pulling them, making them fuller. That was 2 of A, so now we're going to go to 2 of B. This kit includes this is what we call like our striped jute or burlap mesh. And then it also has a border stripe mesh where it's the metallic edging, which I like for this round technique, and also the ruffle technique. It looks really pretty with that border stripe. Pull those out. Green, green, stripe. Put it in. Tight twist. There we go. It gets a little repetitive, but that's kind of what makes it so easy. If you can cut and twist, you can make one of these wreaths. Green. Go right here. Left. All right, so we only have 2 left on the back ring. If for some reason your wreath is wired to where the same groups end up right next to each other, not a big deal. Once it's all made, you will never see that spot. You'll never be able to pull it out. So don't stress. Remember, wreath making is a stress-free zone. So you're gonna have your other, and this is gonna be our last peg on the top. Goes right on top. All right. So we have every peg filled in on the back with mesh. We've pulled them all out, making sure everything is coming outwards. We don't want it in on the back. And now we're gonna open the pine that are on the top circle. So it's just easier to put the mesh in when your hands are full. You could just put it right in. Okay, and now it doesn't matter which combination you start with. Just grab 2 of one of the mesh. So I'm just gonna do 2 of mesh A again. Fold. Exact same technique that you did on the bottom, nothing different. You just pick 2 of one color, start there, and then keep alternating your way around. Now, you don't want to fold your pine in yet. You still want to do the 1 pull and a single twist around. And this time we want to pull our mesh kind of open, so it makes like a circle, full circle, because now you're going to see all of it, where the back we pushed because the top was going to cover it. So the only difference is the way you're going to, kind of shape your mesh at the end, and you don't want to fold your pine over because we're going to put our ribbon right on top of this mesh. Pull, twist, open it up. It's nice and full. You don't want any empty spots, but we're going to put ribbon too, so it will look super full. My greens and my stripe. Kind of a stripy mesh with the border. Strips. Alright, so we got my 2. Green, you've got this down by now. Easy peasy. Remember, the hardest part of wreath making is just remembering which combination you just did. And you got that. Green. Okay, 3 more pegs. I just did 2 burlap, so let's do the 2 green. last one. Going to put those together. And if you have a few pieces of mesh left over, not to panic. You can just go back into your back ring. Oh, there's Mr. And just put it right on top of the mesh that was already there. You know how you tied hid your little pine? You could just put them right on top to add fullness, or you can save them for another project, or just toss them away. There shouldn't be a whole lot of them. All right, we have all of our mesh in, super full. Look how deep. Loving this. I love the kind of burlap that really makes it stand out. So now we're going to do our ribbons. If you got our kit, or if you're doing your own, how it comes is we have 3 different groups of ribbons. They're rolled together. And in each roll, there are 3 patterns. So you're going to unroll them, and you're going to cut each ribbon into 12-inch pieces, and then we put fray check on the edges so that it always looks like a fresh, clean cut. So then you're going to have 3 different groups of ribbons, and in each group are 3 patterns and 3 pieces of each. 3, 3, 3. So really simple, really easy. You just try to keep the patterns out so it's really kind of blends all around and it's not patchy or polka dotted looking. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna call this group A. I'm gonna take 1 of each pattern and you make an X with them. Doesn't matter which one's on top. Make an X, just like you did your mesh, and the 3rd piece goes right on top, again, just like your mesh. Squeeze them together. Now our ribbon for this one, we're just gonna work on that small inner ring, which is why we didn't pinch or tuck the mesh in. So you're going to find a pine, any top pine you want, it doesn't matter which one, but you're gonna take your ribbon into it. You're going to twist twice, and then you're going to take each ribbon and you want to make sure they have their own spot. You don't want them sticking straight up or things. You just want them to kind of have a natural pull to them, but for them to each have their own space so you can really see them. Then you're going to go to your next group and take 1 of each pattern of those. Again, you're going to make your X. 1 goes right on top. Next time you do this combination, you can change the order. That is not a big deal. You can always keep your favorite one on top, whichever. And you're gonna find the pine that is right next to the one you did. And again, put your ribbon right on the middle of the pine, pull nice and tight, and then a single twist around. And then you're gonna find your ribbons and fluff them. Make sure that they're all being seen so it makes your wreath look fuller. And the tendency is to pull the ribbons towards the middle, but you really kind of want them more arced on the outside. It makes it look like you have a lot more ribbon instead of everything being squished in one spot. Then I'm going to take my 3rd group, 1 of each pattern. Make my star. Squish it right next to each other. Twist, and then fluff. Okay, so we have put in 1 of each group. So now you're just gonna start back again at the first group you did. Take 1 of each pattern and make your X. Same order you did, different order. Doesn't matter, as long as it's these 3 ribbons together. Put them in, find the next ribbon, or the next pine next to the ribbon that you just did. Pull and twist, and then fluff. Got the texture ribbons to show. You just want them to kind of, even if they're going to overlap with the group next to them, it creates more of a fullness. Then the next group, I have these ones. I put the green on bottom last time, so I'm going to put him in the middle. The champagne glitter. Put that in right there. Find your next pine. Pull and twist. Fluff. I want to make sure you can see. Nothing's covering enough. Okay. Now we're to group 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put those ones. This time I'm going to put the glitter one on top because I love a little glitz. I'm going to put it right in the middle. And I do everything first because I know this kit comes with a bow and we told you we're going to teach you that. But I make the whole wreath first so you can kind of gauge which size of bow will look best on your wreath. Because every wreath is a unique handmade creation. No two will be the same, even if the same person makes them. They're so individual. And then we're going to put one last one in. And tuck and fluff. Okay, all of our ribbon is in on the top. Looking good. All right, let's make our bow. So we're gonna grip the ribbons. If you have a yardstick or a ruler, you're gonna want that for this. Otherwise, you can also just kind of eyeball it. We're going to start with the ribbon which is the back ribbon, which is usually you want to use one of your widest ribbons, whether they're all the same width or you have one that's wider. The wide one is going to be the back. For this bow, I'm going to start with the plain burlap being the back of my bow. To make a bow for this kit, what you're going to do is you want to find the middle of your ribbon, like this. This is going to be our middle part. And I'm going to go 14 inches in. So it's 14 inches from here to here. And what I do is I just take my ribbons and I cross them like this. So it kind of looks like a cause ribbon. And then, my tails are still pretty even. I'm going to take this and I just pull it down into the middle. So I find the middle of the loop and I pull it in like that. And then I kind of squish them in. Now, I'm going to take my ribbon and kind of hold it up and see if I'm liking the size so far. I like that so much. So my ribbons are wired. Wired ribbons are really the only way to make a bow. It's so much easier. So since it's wired, I'm just gonna kind of pinch it together and lay that. That is my back layer. Then I'm gonna take, when I make this bow, I'm working from the back going forward. So this is gonna be my next layer. You do the same thing you did before, where you're going to have your halfway point. I'm gonna go down, for this bow, I'm gonna make it the same length. So I'm gonna go down my 14 inches again, take the points and cross them like this. So the pattern is up both sides. See how it kind of makes a loop like that? And then you find the center of your loop, bring it in, kind of make sure they're about the same size because they're gonna both be the back layer for this style. And I squish it in like that. Okay, since it's wired, I'm gonna really squish it nice and tight so I don't have to hold everything. As you get more used to making bows, you can hold all the layers as you're going. But for now, I am just going to lay it one loop up, one loop down, right in the middle of my bow like that. Now I'm gonna work on my next two layers. I'm going to make my next two layers. They're going to be a little smaller loop so we don't completely cover the back. So I find my halfway point, and this time I'm gonna go down about 11 inches. Same technique, really easy. Fold it up where the top of your ribbon is on both. Find the middle of the loop, and you're just going to bring that right to where you crisscrossed your ribbons. Then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna hold it up, be like, yeah, I like that size, because you want some of the back loops to show, but not so small that it looks disproportionate. So I like that. I'm gonna pinch it nice and tight and just lay it right there like that. Now this is gonna be my last layer for this bow. You're going to do the exact same things. And this one I'm gonna make the same size I did the ivory layer. So I find my halfway. You're gonna go down 11 inches. Find your fold, middle, twist. Really, really the easiest way to make bows, and they look so pretty. So we want it about the same size as that layer. We did a great job. Now, here's what we're gonna do. Since this one's already in my hand, I'm going to take this and the ivory one, and I'm just gonna kind of cross them. So here's my 2 points, like laying it on top, and then just a single twist. Because the look that I'm trying to make here is that this is one bow. So these are the one side of the bow, and this is the other side. but you just have your tails going like that. So if I move this, you might be able to see a little easier. A loop up, a green on top, ivory on bottom, ivory on top, green on bottom, both tails going down. Now I'm just going to take the next layer and I'm going to put it, I want it the same direction as the ivory so it can pop against the green. So I just lay it right underneath it. Okay, so now we're just going to add the very last layer, which is our burlap bow. And it's just gonna go right on back like that. Don't overthink it. This is supposed to be a really fun, busy bow, lots of patterns. You're just gonna lay it in back. The trickiest part about this bow is just making sure that on your tails, you have one of each tail on each side. Otherwise, when you wire it, your bow might come undone, which is an easy fix. Take your wire off and start again. But see how I have a loop of each color on each side and a tail on each side. Then you're gonna take your bow wire that comes in the kit. It's our cloth covered bow wire. I took the 1 yard and folded it in half so you have this little loopy loop right there. All right, so right where all of my ribbons are kind of mushed together, I'm going to take the wire around it like this. So the wire is underneath my thumb. The loop is in the back of the bow. And all I'm gonna do is take these little pieces of wire and I'm gonna tuck them right through the loop. Then you just pull it nice and snug. Not so tight you break it, but you want them tight. It's like, you know, when you backcomb your hair, you want the roots to be really tight so the rest of the bow fluffs up. So I just kind of slide it back and forth until it's nice and tight. Looking at the back, it looks like it's in the middle of my bow. I open up the wire and I just do a double knot like this. That's it, just so it can't come undone. And now I'm gonna flip my bow back over and I'm just going to kind of touch the loops. I want them to be spread out so you see each one. I do want the ivory on the green and this little green on the burlap so you can see them better. Because if you have the green on green, oh, obviously they're gonna blend. So I have my tails down. I'm gonna do opposite here. Green on top, green on bottom, ivory on top, ivory on bottom. And then my green bow is gonna go just like that. So now what I'm gonna do is, sometimes wreaths have a blank spot, sometimes they don't. I think this wreath needs a little something something right there. So I'm going to take my ribbon, or my bow. Oh, we almost forgot to put the center on our bow. There is a center that comes with your kits. So what you're gonna do is, there's one, just to kind of cover the wire if it bothers you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. But I'll show you what it would look like with the center. You put a dab of glue on one end here, and you hold it down nice and tight. And then all you do is you take your center ribbon and you just follow the wire around. It doesn't have a real function besides it's aesthetically pleasing. It's just kind of to cover the wire. And you would just use your hot glue and you would do another dab of glue there. And you can snip off the extra. If you're still beginning at crafting and you don't have a hot glue gun, not to worry. Here's another trick. Since you already have this extra wire, pull one side down and one side going up like that. Then, as you're kind of holding it, or you can have a friend come use a finger, you can use the wire to tie the center down just like that. Still works, because remember, this is the back of our bow. No one's gonna see that. But now that I wired it, my bow got a little flattened, so it goes like that. But now I have that natural center that not only covers the wire, but it brings that burlap look back to the top. Okay, so we're not done fluffing yet, but we're going to attach it to our wreath because sometimes things can get smushed there. So I'm going to take this excess wire that we have hanging out on the back, and I'm going to go around the wreath. You can go around the top and the bottom, or you can just do the top, whatever you can find the easiest, because we want to tie it, but we don't want to create a flat spot by doing it. So I have that, and I want to pull the bow so it's kind of up a little bit more high on the bow wreath than down low. So I'm going to pull it like that. Now here's my ribbon, my wire. I am just going to, you don't really want to lay it all the way down because then you're going to flatten your bow even more. But if you did, don't worry, wired ribbon, always fluffable. I'm gonna do that, and I'm just gonna tie a knot. And you can go back and cut the wires later, or you can just kind of twist them and poke them up there. But now we have our bow attached. It did get a little flattened again. So now I am gonna go and fluff it. Make sure you see the patterns, the metallic, all the really pretty. Just kind of a fun bow. There are tailored bows that are supposed to be really precise. There's kind of a fun, messy bow. I like the fun, messy bow for the outdoorsy garden theme. I don't know, it just kind of feels more free flow. So now you can tell we have these really long tails. Customize your wreath. You can cut them short with the really pretty little dove cut, angle cut, V cut, whatever you want to call it. And you could have them shorter. You can do different layers. For this one though, I'm going to keep the length and I'm going to roll them up like this. And then you can keep some rolled like that, but I also like them where they come this way, where they twirl down. Again, a lovely thing about wired ribbon is you can shape your tails however you want. When you decide your tails, what you want, like this style, I usually keep my tails flat because too many angles just kind of have a lot going on. But you can still angle cut them, you can still dovetail them, you can do whatever you want. I just like the spiral curl going down. A lot of people also just have it like this and keep them curled up like that. It all works, but once you do decide, you do want to fray check them because you did all this work. You don't want it to be messy. So if any of your ribbon has frayed, do a nice little trim on them. But then you just want to take your fray check and run it on the edges of your ribbons so it will always stay clean and not get messy on you. So you're just going to take your tails, kind of curl them around, see which way the patterns go, like that. And then for this bow, this wreath, we're still not done. This is our garden bunny, Easter bunny, however you want to do it. And so we have these adorable little natural ears. So what I'm going to do is I have this extra piece of twine. I'm going to tie it around the back. It has this circle in it for this one, which works really nicely to attach it. I'm going to pull it nice and tight because I want the twine to kind of stay behind the ears so they're more propped up once I attach them to the wreath. Now, again, fun customizable. You could put it with your bow, you could put it up here, but I like to counter the things. If I have one up here, I like to put another one down here. So all these gorgeous tails, I'm going to move that one for now. And I love these ears, so I really want them noticeable. So I'm going to try and pull green ribbons and green mesh to the forefront so it makes the ears pop a little more. So here's my twine. I'm just going to take it around this pine and the mesh and go behind it and tie it in, oops, nice and snug so it doesn't flop. And then I'll show you something really great about these ears that will make it easier too. So go them in the back and just tie a knot. You can do a bow, but when you're trying to do it behind without fluff, smashing everything, I think a knot is just easier. So I'm gonna pull that nice and tight. There was my single knot. I'm gonna double it just for safety, and then you can go back and cut off the extra that's hanging, but we give you a long enough piece so you'll have plenty of room. But these ears are wired, so you can really shape them to be curved down, curved up, however you want. But because it's natural, again, you want to bring the green most forward so the leaves stand up, and you have your curvy tails, your fun little bow, and you have all of your very gardeny Easter wreath. Easy! Anyone can do it. I hope you had a good time. This is from a kit, right? You don't even have to think about it. We give you all of the coordinating things. We have directions on what measurements to cut your ribbons and everything like that. So we hope you come check out all our kits. Thank you so much for watching. For other techniques, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Happy crafting!